We head into July again, not in the position we had with last month's debacle on how everything went. We are now back into sell mode. Here's some of the pieces. Guys like Teoscar, our 3 bullpen guys we signed last year, and some other guys are going to be on the block. And it's just what it is. And while we are kind of in the dumps, we are looking forward to this Kansas City Royals game where Vinny Pasquantino, the Pasquatch, he is going to fly out. Dre Jameson in here to close. Runner on first base, and Veen puts him out for out number 1. Again, it's been tough. It's been hard, and we thought we had some hope. But that 10-game losing streak after that Brewers game snapped by us coming back from behind against the Giants, but still nowhere where we thought we were. We were kind of just right on the outside looking in for most of the year leading up to that. The first 2 months we kind of was treading water, still in a way better position than we have been in the past, and kind of unraveled right there in that week and a half. So unfortunately we are coming into this trade deadline just like years has passed. Ball gets away from Romo. He's able to smother it just enough, and runner stays on second base. Jameson now a runner on in scoring position against Luis Urias, Red Sox legend. Smoked Tovar, another guy who potentially could be on his way out. We'll have to see. Obviously, the price keeps going up, and we'll pick up a win here and try to convince everyone around here that we have it in us, but I just don't think we have it in us. Our first trade that we are going to execute is going to be just a quick trade. Ryan Feltner is going to the New York Yankees, so the Yankees actually claimed him off waivers on the DFA, so they came to us. We just had to get a trade out. They're going to get Feltner, who we DFA'd at the very end of last episode, bringing Dollander back up, I believe. He went on waivers. He did not pass through, or he wasn't going to pass through, so we pull up the Yankees. We got this deal. They get Feltner to be just rotation depth. We are going to take Yoendrys Gomez just to get something from him. Depth reliever who can chew up multiple innings. That's dropping a whole bunch of stuff here. That's really it. Nothing too special on this one, but we just felt we wanted to get some value from Feltner. We have a game here. Top 9, bases loaded. Jarren Duran against Dre Jameson. Jameson, another guy that potentially could be on the move. Again, relievers, extremely volatile position. You can get a really good year or a really bad year. And why spend a whole bunch of money if you can have guys who are young who are giving you that same production? So Jameson against Duran here in a battle. Bases loaded, top 9, 2 out. Jameson already up to 27 pitches now. And luckily for us, he has that arm who can be a multi-inning reliever. We just so happen to have him at the closer spot, so we're able to use him multiple times a week, for multiple innings at a time if we so choose. And kind of a weapon that I enjoy having at this spot. And this pitch, the 30th pitch of his outing, it wasn't pretty, but a save and the win were secured. Jameson strikes him out with the high heat, and that will do it here for this game against the Red Sox. Not my anymore, but the Boston Red Sox. We fast forward here into the 9th inning, and Duran back up here. This time it's Joe Rock he's facing off against. We're giving Jameson some sort of break after not going 30 pitches last outing, and Rock strikes out Duran, so Duran unable to come through in back-to-back instances here. Ahmed Rosario, one of their top signings of the last couple of seasons, he takes ball 3. Runners are going to be on the move. A ball in play is going to be deadly. Sterling Thompson trying to get to it, and he will. Big play by Sterling Thompson to get that glove out there and catch it at the laces of his shoes, and this will give way to Jones, Hernandez, and Fernandez trying to take us home here. And any one of those 3 guys can do it. Jones is out, and Teoscar Hernandez against Wilkerman Gonzalez. And I think Teoscar wants to be the hero. He will be. Walk-off home run. And even though, again, our season seems doomed, this Rockies team has just been one of the more clutch teams we've seen. Multiple walk-offs in every single episode, every single month we've seen them. They've just been up for the task every single game. They're never out of it, and that's what makes this season so heart-wrenching, that we're not going to be playing for much meaningful baseball in the next couple of months because this team did everything they could to win. Just that one season made or broke us, and it broke us pretty damn bad. And Teoscar having one of the best seasons he had in his career over the last few years, revitalizing some trade value here with us. Taking another moment to look at the Cleveland Guardians as we face off against them. Zach Veen against Emmanuel Clase, Sterling Thompson against Emmanuel Clase, and Clase, one of the best bullies in the league. He does not give an inch to anybody. Tovar fake going to third, and he'll go back into second base, and just like that, 2 outs in the inning with a runner on second base. Brings up Rhys Hopkins, who we're going to pinch hit in this scenario. 794 OPS, so some more trade acquisition, some trade ammo that we have. Potentially, again, Hoskins was kind of a one-year rental. If he was doing well, he'd be on the team. If he wasn't doing well, I think he's a good enough bat to go into a situation kind of like Goldschmidt last year and Josh Bell the year before that. A guy to come in, hits extremely well, especially against a particular handedness. In Goldschmidt and Hoskins' case, both against left-handers, and with Bell, he was a switch hitter, so he could provide value on either side of the plate. And this ball gets away from Naylor and moves Tovar up to third, so now 90 feet away is the game-tying run. But Hoskins is going to bring back some value from us, I'm sure of it. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to have any big postseason moments. Really didn't see him much this year. He does well, but he strikes out here. Game over. Clase just putting his foot in our ass. It is what it is. Brings way to the futures game, and we only have one representative, and it is a fun one. It is Rafael Parra going to be our representative here. He's going to start in this game, which is super, super dope to see. He has been one of the, I want to say, overshadowed prospects in our system. A guy who has all the potential in the world, sports a 3.82 ERA in Double-A, his second go-around in Double-A. In the same draft as Bud Leonard, I believe. So he came in with a guy that is expected to be the ace, the guy for this Rockies team over the next few. So, he's been doing his damn thing, and he's been rocking in Hartford and showing out and doing his thing. A little bit iffy in his start here, but still representing the Colorado Rockies extremely well. Gets a double play ground ball there. Cam Collier of the Cincinnati Reds organization is going to be starting it around the horn. I love watching these games just because you see all these guys that we were talking about drafting, talking about maybe trading for some of these top prospects in the league that we've kind of seen their journey so far. Robbie Harnett being a big one. He was a guy that we thought we were going to have a chance to draft. Went, I think, a few picks before we were able to pick. Or in the first round, we thought we could potentially get him in the second round. He stings Parra there, an RBI double to put the American League on top. So it's really cool to see these guys come through the system, come through this game especially, and we see some of those prospects when we do our prospect reports. And it's super cool. I think, me personally, I believe, is what it is. Into the second inning now, leadoff base hit from Gilberto Zambrano. As Parra getting hit around a little bit here. Luis Ziegler, he's going to drop it over to shortstop, and it's going to be the play over to first base. One down in the second inning. But it's always nice when you have one of your best and brightest representing you on the brightest stage. And even though this is a prospect game, still one that we hold near and dear to our hearts. Great play by Parra, a little PFP action. Now a runner on third base, trying to keep the number 9 hitter from doing any damage. He's going to get the strike on the sweeping curve. Foul ball. Goes back to the sweeper again. And this pitch is in the dirt and going to be an error. And the runner will score. Unfortunately, they will actually tack that on. which I don't think it should have been tacked on, because if they make that play, the inning's over. He's going to strike out Ramses Feldman, number one prospect in the draft or in the major leagues there. That's going to do it for him. Now we just find ourselves against Cleveland again right after that. I think actually the same day. And now we got Clase back on the mound. We're going to get Yanquiel Fernandez. No day off for you, sir. We want to pick up these wins. And that one straight back. Excuse me. 0-1 count. Bases loaded. Bottom 10. Fernandez against Eli Morgan. So not Clase here. Just misses that one. One single hit. Wins this ball game.
1 ball, 2 strikes to count.
Pitch is low and inside. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Fernandez watched that one high. Some good plate discipline by Yanquiel here. And then again fouls it straight back. So tension's high. Again, will the rock-offs. That's what we're going to call ourselves, the Colorado Rockies. Up the middle, and that will be a walk-off. We got another one. This team keeps battling. They don't want to trade. They don't want to sell. They want to keep going. They believe in themselves, but unfortunately, standings. Telling another story as we win another one. And now let's get ready for the draft here. So here are some of the prospects that we have scouted that we like in this year's draft, starting with Jim Mora. So here are our thoughts and our hopes as we have pick number 4 this year. Jim Mora and Frank Chirac. We want that's our hopeful at number 4. And again, with a really good pitcher and a pretty good position player, we were trying to favor the position player just to get some position players in our farm system. And just to bolster things up. And you don't really ever draft for need, but if you have 2 guys you think are into pretty good tiering together, then you favor the one I think you need more, especially if you think these guys are your 1A, 1B, things like that. We did find some starting pitching gems later in the draft, so that's why I kind of want to, again, for another draft where I want to focus on hitting, but if that hitting prospect isn't there at the value, I'm going to go with the pitcher every time. That just is what it is. And I don't think that's the wrong way to look at it even a little bit. I think that's the correct way to look at it. Again, you don't really ever draft for need, especially at the top. Maybe with your later round picks, you can draft for need there, but right here at the top, you want to hit your pick. So we have some starting pitching gems later in the draft, which is helping me want to go Chirac instead of Mora. But Mora is pretty damn good. And this year we do have a decent amount of position players scouted later in the draft. DeAndre Jordan, a guy, Marlon Nelson you just saw on your screen. So we do have a decent amount of guys, more than in years past. I think we've really hammered down kind of who we want to go after, how we're looking at them, just stockpiling these reports to give us as deep as a draft pool to pick from as possible. One of the big Tippett, one of the you saw earlier in the prospects we're showing here, a huge riser for us. He's someone that we don't think are high enough on a lot of people's boards, and we have him in a decent spot in our board. And a guy that we've gotten some steals in the later rounds, especially towards that 3rd, 4th round, where we have guys scouted that we just don't believe have caught the eye of not anybody else, but haven't really caught the eye of everybody else like they have ours, right? So we feel like we have a hidden gem on our hands. Tippett could be the next one for us, a huge riser on our end, and a guy that we think we can steal from some people down the road. Serrano and Mayfield also in the conversation going 1st round as well. The disastrous fact that either Mora or Chirac both go here in the first 3 picks. Those are 2 guys that we might go after next. Those guys that we think are both talent-wise and value-wise on the board. Very similar, or would be a good value if we were left with them after, that we're in that 4th pick, and none of those guys are available. So without further ado, let's kick off the 2027 MLB draft. First pick belongs to the Chicago White Sox again. They picked Ramsey Feldman last year, and this year they are going to select Frank Chirac. So the guy that we had number 2 on our board, who I really liked, he's going to go pick number 1. Yet again, the White Sox take the guy that we thought we had a chance of getting. And he looks like he's going to be a very, very, very good player. A guy that could get to the majors pretty quickly. A guy that we think can hang around the major leagues for a decent while as well. So a pick that we really wanted to make, but we weren't going to make it because Chirac goes to Chicago at number 1. A safe pick and a good pick, much the same. Oakland's going to take Dexter Ross. We had him 5th on our board after initially he wasn't looking too hot. And then he kind of came on as of late. Another guy that we were potentially thinking about with that 4th pick in case we didn't go. He goes to Oakland. And the number 1 draft prospect, we had at number 30. We did not love what we saw from Jordan. We think he could be a solid player, but not a guy that we would take this high. So he's going to go to the Washington Nationals, and now that really just makes it an easy pick. We're going Jim Mora, man. He looks like a stud. We think he's going to be a stud out of the box. He's going to be stud as soon as he gets into our program, into our pitching development lab. And Jim Mora, potentially a chance to go out and be on the opening day roster potentially. The number 2 overall prospect in this draft, our number 1 guy on the board. That is awesome. Now we watch how this board plays out. It's the Mets, the Guardians, Detroit, Pittsburgh, as Marcel Busch goes to New York, a guy that we had scouted, a top 6 pick, our top 6 prospect going to MLB. We had him lower on our board. Grant Russell, a guy that we started scouting, wasn't liking and moved off of. The Yankees at number 11, St. Louis at number 12, the Red Sox at 23, some notable here. Darrell Parra, a guy that we looked at one of our scouting kind of look-ins earlier on the season. He's gone. Stephen Takahashi also gone right here. So a good amount of our guys gone with that in the first 8 picks. Arthur Landrum, another guy that we were looking at, he's gone here at 9. And we really did what we've done in the scouting is really make sure we get that number 1 pick. And that kind of does sacrifice some depth down the board. But we think like we have enough scouting to go around to get that depth while also really making sure we do our homework on the guys who are supposed to be going around the time we are picking. Because you've got to hit your first pick, man. You really do. That's how you get that treasure chest. As Jeffrey Tippett goes off the board, a guy that we thought we were going to be able to get in the 2nd or 3rd round. He goes number 12 overall. He was our number 3rd ranked prospect, so St. Louis was in the trenches just like we were. But just getting those bullets to use potentially, whether it's on your team or someone else's team, Phil Mayfield, another guy going a little bit earlier than projected, that we would have done that same move as well. So we really got to hit on that first pick, and we've done our due diligence. It could hurt us later down on the round. Sebastian Serrano, Chris Sutton, Andres Asuncion, James Wynn, and Marlon Nelson still on our board at this point of the draft. But it is what it is. Phil Washington goes, the guy we were higher on than most. Victor Montoya, a guy that we really did some preliminary scouting at, but nothing too crazy. Again, still trying to find a really good catcher prospect. We've been wanting one. We've been needing one. And we just have not yet to get one to put behind Drew Roma, at least naturally. We've gotten some trades, gotten some guys in trades, but no one that we have drafted, have analyzed, have looked at, and have shored up via the draft. Atlanta on the clock now. They take Sebastian Serrano, another guy that we didn't think anyone was after. We thought for sure we were able to get in the later rounds, and we will not be able to, as a lot of the guys on our board are going. Marlon Nelson, another one of those guys. I was really upset when this one happened. I did think we were going to be able to get him later on in the draft, and we just won't be because Cincinnati's on him just like we were. Keith Nolan, another guy that potentially could have gone in our second pick. We do not have a second round pick this year just because of the addition of Jazz Chisholm. So we were picking, I think, 73rd, 74th, 72nd, around that end in that early third round. But these guys are a little bit pipe dreams, but definitely in the realm of possibility they would be seeing us later on, but we won't be seeing them, unfortunately. Colt Sykes goes to the Twins. Ryan Rosales goes to the Rangers. A third baseman, 18 years old. Bonus demand of $3.4 million. Robert Bestard, a guy that we weren't really looking at, but a name that I remember seeing and was debating on putting some attention to. He goes to Tampa Bay. Sean Lewis, a left fielder. He looks like a guy that we didn't really give much attention to. He goes to Los Angeles. Eduardo Cortez, a guy on our board, injured. So Philadelphia Phillies thinking they can get a pretty good talent later on the board because of that injury. Hopefully it doesn't turn around and bite them in the behind. We'll wait till the Yankees select, then we'll see who they select and who the Orioles select. Orioles got Emilio Diaz, a third baseman, and Manuel Rosado goes to New York. We're going to jump ahead to 7th, third pick, DeAndre Hiller. We get with the third round, and we're just going to kind of go through who we're picking. Chris Sutton at 77, Josh Rubel at 107, Bernardo Caruso, and David Moore to round things out. So that was our draft. We're going to be going over our draft prospects and the signing process. We were able to sign everybody, I believe. For some guys, it took a little bit longer than others, but for the most part, no one gave us too much trouble, and we were able to get everybody under wraps pretty early, pretty convincingly, and really flesh out our draft class. David Moore, a guy that we got, Rubel we got later on, and here is a look at our draft class, and I think we knocked it out of the park. Mora, he is looking extremely well. Hiller looks like a guy that can be somebody. Sutton looks awesome. Rubel, big power, why we got him. Caruso looks like we can mold into whoever we want. And David Moore sneakily might be the best pick of this draft. Now, all these guys going to rookie ball. We'll see how they do and how they'll turn out, where they'll start next year. And these are some of the guys that we were thinking about taking and where they ended up. So, especially those guys in the later rounds, here's where they ended up in case you fell in love with somebody and want to know where they will be resting their head at night. But overall, I think a tremendous draft on our end. We have some really good, highly touted prospects coming into the league, and especially on our team. Especially, I'm so excited for Jim Mora, man. I really, I feel like every time I say that, I'm talking about former head coach at UCLA and I think the Atlanta Falcons. He also coached at, but there's some players in here that are really good that we wanted, and we just didn't get the chance to take. So some other guys that I knew were good, we just didn't get that opportunity. So the draft is done. We know who is where everybody signed, and all that fun stuff. Now it's time for the home run derby, and we have a pretty stacked class per usual. It's Corbin Carroll, Yordan Alvarez, Kyle Schwarber, C.J. Abrams, Spencer Torkelson, Matt Olson, Ellie De La Cruz, Adolis Garcia. So you skip ahead all the way to the the championship round. Schwarber ended up coming over from side left, side A, and Matt Olson from the right side ended up being your home run derby championship here in PNC Park, one of the most beautiful ballparks in all of baseball, second only to Coors Field, of course. And Matt Olson, shout out, Matty-O. Here are the All-Star representatives for this year's games. We ended up getting 2 All-Stars, which was super dope. Relief pitcher Genesis Cabrera, and then I also believe Oscar Hernandez was a selection for us this year as well. No Jazz Chisholm, which is a little surprising, but 2 guys who've had a pretty good season. Again, I definitely would have gone Jazz over those guys. I think he's just been awesome. Tovar, a consideration as well, but when you also think of like how stacked all these other positions are, it's kind of understand why some of our guys in deeper positions, and Teoscar really made it because he was a DH, right? So that's why kind of those guys didn't get the nod because of other players being so deep in their positions. American League looks like this. Class A, Tanner Scott, Jordan Romano, Kevin Kelly, and Ron Marinaccio are your closers that make it. On your Diaz, Tyler Soderstrom, Rene Pinto from Tampa Bay, Jordan Alvarez, and Vinny Pasquantino, Nico Herner, and Matt McClain, two former NL Central guys, now AL Central guys. CJ Abrams having a crazy season, already 30 home runs at the All-Star break. He's absolutely going nuts. Left field is stacked. Mike Trout still putting up pretty fantastic seasons. And Adolis Garcia and Walker Jenkins rounded out in the outfield. In the 6th inning, Genesis Cabrera ended up getting his time to shine. And he had himself an All-Star game, that is for sure. He's going to end up throwing a whole bunch of pitches. No one he was able to get out. A bunch of high counts. He's going to let up a run here. Already 21 pitches through 2 batters faced, which is crazy. Again, really going against the best of the best here. 27 pitches now as runner's going to take off for second base, and William Contreras is going to gun him out there. So great job by Contreras, limiting the runner on the base paths. Kyle Tucker getting this Nico Herner fly ball, and he's able to snag it, and that's going to do it for Cabrera. Josh Hernandez comes in the 7th and rips a base knock, which is super cool to see. So he gets a hit for the Rockies, and then here in the bottom of the 9th inning, on the ground, shortstop picks it up, fires over to first base, and that will do it for the game. The American League All-Star wins, because when don't they, right? And that does it for the All-Star festivities. We're going to kind of check out what's going on, and what's going on. Edwin Diaz just got traded back to Seattle for a pretty good package. So the Seattle Mariners going all in, which is super cool to see. Brings us now to a moment against the San Diego Padres. Again, bottom of the 9th, bottom of the 9th. Jameson up. He let the first batter get on. Lane Thomas takes a pitch close, takes another pitch close. Jameson getting a little frustrated, and he, pumps that one 98, fouled back. And this pitch, 97, will not be fouled back. It will be pretty straight and hit pretty far. And again, Jameson a little upset about the 2 close calls, got in his head and gave up a home run, and the Rockies end up losing this one against the Padres. Now we're going to check on the standings, see where everyone sits. The Phillies first in the National League East. The Central could be anyone's game. You have 4 teams within 4 games of each other. We're out of it. And as you look at the wild card standings, the Dodgers, Pirates, and Reds are the closest on, and we're 11 games back. Orioles and Rays in the East of the American League look like they're contenders. Twins and Guardians in the Central, and then the American League West is still pretty contentious, with a couple of those teams being right in that race for the wild card. And it really ends after just a couple of teams. Not a deep wild card selection this year. And we're going to get on to some of the trades that we made. First trade we're going to make is Chris Bubich is going to Cleveland for Gabriel Rodriguez and Benny Hunt. Bubich gets to Cleveland, shore up their rotation. We made plenty of trades with Cleveland. I think the team we've traded with the most since I've been here. I have a really good relationship with them. We get good right-handed bat / third base depth and in Rodriguez. Can play a solid field, can hit the ball around a little bit. They had a good amount of third baseman and shortstops, where Rodriguez was originally a shortstop. And we're also going to get Benny Hunt. Just going to be middle infield depth. We don't really think that he has much of a ceiling. He might be a career minor leaguer, but that's the first trade we're going to make. A small one, but a trade we're going to make nonetheless. The next trade is the blockbuster. This trade is huge. For those of you who might remember who followed us, you know that Tommy Domine was someone that we wanted in last year's draft. We weren't able to get him. He went in the late first round to Houston. Houston, however, has moved Yordan Alvarez to first base, have drafted a really good first baseman that they like, a top 100 prospect. Tommy Domine was on the table earlier this year. I saw on the trade block as the rumor mill flies, and we're going to go after him. We're giving them back to Teoscar Hernandez, Genesis Cabrera, and James Karinchak are all going to Houston. This sheds a lot of salary, and also they shore themselves up for a postseason run. The Astros are back. They're going for it. They needed some outfield depth / DH depth. Teoscar Hernandez has been on a tear, an all-star this year. We give them Genesis Cabrera, who has been a very, 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 very good relief pitcher, and you can't have too many relief pitching depth. And they also take on Karinchak. They were able to take it on budget-wise, and we were able to shed some few, even though Karinchak hasn't been fantastic. You never know what you can get lightning in a bottle out of a guy like that. A guy who is effectively wild might prove to get some pretty insane playoff innings for you. So that's what we're going to do on our end of the side. We're going to get Tommy Domine. Really good, was on the block, a guy that we really wanted. We can't say enough about Domine. Just a pure bat and a gold glove caliber first baseman. Again, they just have Yordan Alvarez at first base, plus a couple other really good prospects. So while he's really good, they could afford to do this trade. And we shore up first base, like a position that has never been stable for us. We tried so many guys. Yanquiel has been doing great, but he can slide right back to DH, just focus on hitting, do his thing. Domine, a much better glove. Again, not like Fernandez has been bad or anything, but that's what we're going to do. We get Colin Barber, really good fielder, outfield depth. Those are two of our huge, huge trades. And we're going to look in on the first game as a member of the Colorado Rockies for Tommy Domine. He is going to play first base for us for a very, very long time. Domine is now taking his first at-bat with the Rockies, playing first base. And again, I have all the hype in the world for this guy. Again, I love the bat. He was someone at consideration when we took Bud Leonard, number 2 overall. Not this previous, a couple drafts ago. And I'm so excited that we were able to get this guy. And it just naturally formed, right? Like, just so happened he went to a team who, like, obviously, like, would want a guy like this. But still a guy that was expendable for what they're trying to do right now. They still have some really good pieces at the position he plays. So, still a hefty price to get him. We gave up basically our 2 top assets. We had to trade this trade deadline for this guy. So in that case, we have to kind of go for minimal deals here and there. But I think this is very, very much worth it. And his first hit as a Rocky goes into Triples Alley. He could be thinking 3. Not the most fleet of foot. We might not see too many triples the rest of the way from Domine, but there he is. RBI triple, no less, for Tommy, as he brings us a little bit closer. Now it's just a 2-1 ball game. Also doing this against Logan Webb, don't you know? But it's an incredible bat. Doesn't have too much pop, but really hits very well against lefties. Not going to strike out a whole bunch. Does well with runners on base. Really a well-rounded bat. As he hits this one hard, but on a line to center field, that will be caught. Also has an exceptional glove at first base. I know I've said, like, I don't really care who fields over there, but having a good fielder there can't hurt. It really can't. So that's going to be the last at-bat, a fielder's choice, and that will do it for Domine. We get a call from the Padres, and they're offering us William Kim for TJ Antone. We're going to do it. We don't really trade within the division, but we're going to get William Kim, a center fielder who we had our eye on in a couple drafts ago. And, you know, someone who probably doesn't have the highest of ceiling, but a guy we think can be a major league contributor at some point. The Padres get a nice bullpen piece. we get a guy who can be a pretty good center fielder defender with a decent bat, and I think it's overall, even though it's within division, it is a fine get for us. We're going to stay here in San Francisco, however, as we are now seeing the debut of Alex Hardesty. Yes, we have called up Alex Hardesty with Bubic going, with all the pitching being the way it has been, guys doing well and not doing well here and there. We've decided it's now time to see what we have in Alex Hardesty. I've been really wanting J.J. Rose to be the guy we called up first. However, he just simply was not ready yet. And we are going to get Hardesty up here to see what he has for us in Colorado. Here are his stats. We've seen him been mostly in AAA this year, thrown 100 innings in 19 games. We think he's ready for a new challenge. And his first challenge is Dairo Estrada, and he passes that challenge. The first major league strikeout he saw here in the major leagues. The first batter he saw, he struck out. It was awesome. It was good. It was dope. It was pretty nice to see. And there we go, a moment he will never forget. Taylor Walls, his next victim, and victim it is. Curveball in the dirt, blocked by Romo, scooped on, thrown over there to first base, and an out for Hardesty, another strikeout. Trying to go back to back to back. He can't get quite there with Jung-Ho Lee. We're trying to get him out on the next pitch. 2-2 count. Flicks it over to left field, and that will be put away for a clean first inning. So Hardesty debut starting off pretty good. Bottom second, Santander. See ya. He was dominant in this start, especially early in the start. Dynamite, blowing every pitch by everyone. He was getting it done with all of his pitches, breaking ball, fastball, cutter, doing it all when he needed to. Gives a hit there to Blake Sable, the first base runner allowed by Hardesty. Look at this, Sable just shoots this one the other way. Hard to do. Get mad about that, however. And Luciano, he is going to go down the line. So Hardesty, pretty great to start. In a little bit of a jam, but helped out by, as Jordan Beck out there in left field today. And then a fastball, 99, right by Eldridge. And again, high strikeout potential. We've seen him put up some crazy numbers in the minor leagues, and he's going to do that here in the majors. We sure hope. Elliot Ramos can get him for a double here, puts him on in scoring position. And Estrada looking at the 12-6, a deadly 12-6 curveball he has in his pocket. He's going to beat Estrada for the second time, and then it just drops right there at the knees. Nothing you can do about it. Taylor Walls, he's going to pop up, and Hardesty says, I got it myself, boyos, and he's going to put it away for the third inning, scoreless here through 3. Jung-Ho Lee right at the knees. Why don't you swing, buddy boy? He is down on strikes. Full count to Luciano here now in the 5th strikeout. Another one for Hardesty. Carving up this lineup. 7 strikeouts through 4 1/3. Make it 8 strikeouts for 4 2/3 by Hardesty. However, we did get a little bit of a snag here in the 6th, as one of his biggest concerns we've been saying the entire time we've had him. Past that 5th inning is when things got tricky. He slowed down a bit. Command was off. Wasn't able to put away hitters much like he did in 8 strikeouts here today, all coming through 4 2/3 innings. The back part of his start wasn't great. Sable's going to get him again off of Levi's landing there on that high wall. The Giants are going to take the lead by 1 run. Throw comes into home plate, and in there Santander. It is 3-1 Giants. That will do it for Hardesty in his debut. Ran out of gas. Went 5 2/3. Got the loss. 8 Ks, 2 walks, 4 runs, and 5. Next trade we have, one of the last trades we have, we're saying goodbye. Salutes 07's in the chat to Reese Hoskins. He's going to the Mariners, much like we did with Josh Bell a couple years ago. They still need first base help. They're getting a guy who's been very good and is limited at bats with us. And we're going to get Winston Estrada, a depth outfielder for them. And we think that he can be a pretty decent guy with the bat as well. And then we get Dylan Nedved, just a depth relief pitcher. Just I'm going to throw into the trade to kind of not make it a 1-for-1. We get 2 lower end prospects, some guys that could help, could not help. It is what it is. Finally, the last trade we're going to make, Ryan Weathers and Justin Lawrence are going to pack their bags and head to Atlanta. We are going to get Lauren Parker, a first baseman. Again, another team with a pretty big logjam at first base. We have not had first base as a place that we have drafted well either. Totally it did not work out. We do have Tyrone Gehringer, who really is just going to be a DH. I don't think he's going to have much value in the field, even though it is first base. Like, we don't really need a whole bunch of value, but yeah, so we're going to get Parker here to shore up that position as well. And yeah, that is going to be it for trades, and that is going to do it here for the trade deadline. And we're just going to go over the roster and see kind of the end of the month how it all goes. Here's how everyone is looking. Here is kind of what we are doing. Moving guys up when we can. We have a few positions to add, a few guys to get up. Guys like Vinny Garcia, guys like Brent Doyle are going to go up. Hardesty's up. We might try Marco Garcia. We might try a whole bunch of stuff. And Garcia is going to be up, and he is going to be making his major league debut next time. We're moving some guys around with a whole bunch of roster shuffle. We are going to move them around just to keep guys progressing, keep guys going, and I think overall successful trade deadline. And that's going to do it. Here's kind of what our lineup is looking like after all that. Here's what our rotation is looking like after all that. And again, another unfortunate sell at the deadline. Another unfortunate place we are at this point. But that will do it here. Hopefully you stick with me. Hopefully you rock by me. And we'll see you next time. Go Rockies.